Imagine starting a church in a garage and within 10 short years going from not one, but 3 campuses spread throughout Mississippi, all making an impact for Christ. That's just what happened to the Power of Deliverance Church. And we're going to dish up a conversation with their pastor, Perry Rogers, today on Church Spotlight. Welcome, Pastor Rogers, to the program.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
How do you go from meeting in a garage to where we are today?
Well, it's a long story, but it's a pleasurable story. We're a church that, first of all, that love God, and my wife and I have the greatest wife, and for her to let people come in her garage of her new home, that took some praying. But she just felt like, whatever the Lord wanted us to do, we decided to do it. And it's been a great journey doing it. You have your ups and downs and everything like that. But the Lord has blessed us to start in our garage. It's kind of funny because people were a little reluctant at first to come. And I could tell that, a church in a garage? Wow, that's different. But as we went on and started it, I even remember the day that we started, which was in January, I think, 2000. The year 2000, and we started, and the anticipation of looking out the window and seeing who's going to come and everything. And God has the numbers, and I'm big on God's numbers. And I got 7 came that day, and I was excited because I said, if 7 come, more will come. So we've been blessed through the garage and everything. The old Dolphin Street, 2900 Dolphin Street. Many people were saved there. Many people were just blessed there, and through the years, we just accomplished so much there. I appreciate the people in the neighborhood, how many times the cars were all over the place, and we were parking in my yard and across the street and on the street, what have you. But word got around. Word got around about the ministry in the garage, and things just grew. And God blessed us, and we're such a close-knitted group,
Right.
And it just brought everything into focus. And I've been blessed. Of course, we're happy with the facility we have today, but I would never forget the garage. I can't, because that was the beginning, the humble beginning, what we had. I was blessed to be, I'm a pastor's son. My father was a minister.
A PK.
Yeah, I'm a PK, exactly. And my father's a minister, but he taught me so much. I've learned so much from him. And I also had a great protege, a man by the name of Bishop John L. Brown, who I get a little teary-eyed when I talk about him also, because he taught me so much. He's gone to be with the Lord now, but I was able to be up under him for many years, and the Lord blessed us. It was time to leave out. He gave me the blessings to go and all, and we went out on our own, and everything has just materialized. And when God is doing something, and it's God, you realize at the beginning that they're going to be tough times,
Sure.
difficult times. Everything, it's not going to always go smoothly, but as you keep on pressing on, and that's what we did. We kept pressing on, and the Lord just started elevating us and elevated us to a point to where the garage was just well known all throughout, just not the neighborhood, but everywhere I go, they say, "Are you the preacher that has the church in the garage?" And that was quite funny, but I thank God. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it because, and it's not against anybody else, but it wasn't given to me. And the beauty of it, I had to trust. I had to depend on God. I had no other choice but trust and depend on the Lord. And my. You know, when you trust and depend on the Lord, He'll make a way.
Right.
And then having my faithful wife with me, and encouraging me to do this.
But what was the calling? What made you say, okay, this Sunday, this is the Sunday? What was the process that led up to the garage?
Well, good question. I had said I would never live in Goshen. I said, Goshen wasn't the place I wanted to live. I had gotten a job offer in Birmingham, Alabama, about 6 months beforehand. And it was a great job offer, one of the best job offers I probably ever get. And I wanted that job very badly. And they'd offered me the job, and I said, well, let me go and pray about it, because you always pray over everything. And on my way back from Birmingham, I gave my wife a call, and I said, hey, we're on our way. We're moving to Birmingham. She was excited and all. And the interesting thing about this job is, and you probably don't hear this much, they even offered my wife a bonus on this job. They said, we'll give her so much money, you move here and everything. And as we sat there and talked about it over the phone, and I was very excited. But as I rolled and talking to the Lord told me this is not what He wanted me to do. He didn't want me to be in Birmingham. And I said, Lord, why? And so many times, we think what's best for us, but God knows what's best. And when the Lord said no, I had to accept that. And not long after that, I was driving one day over in Goshen, right over in this area, and just driving along, and I saw some land. And now, mind you, I financially, I'm not a rich guy, but we had built our house on Mobile Highway to the point to now I was only 3 years away from paying that house off. That's why God is doing something. And I said, well, the Lord said, build a house here on this land. And I said, Lord, I got a house. I got a house. Why would I want to build a house here? He said, build a house here. And I always listen to the Lord, and I said, well, I'm going to check into the land, and we checked into the land, and everything just $7,000 for the land. I said the number again. It was just, and we bought the land, and when we bought the land, everything just started falling in place. And one day, building the house, I always went to the house every afternoon when the house was being built and just pray over the house. And when I went to the house one day, I think it was in October, and as I was praying in the house, I said, Lord, why do you want me over here? And I stepped into the garage, and this is just so real, and it's because the church is here. And wow. So I had to, and we had white carpet in the house. And my wife, I said, now how is my wife going to deal with people walking on the white carpet, coming through the church? It's not that we're called materialistic, but she loved the white carpet and all. But the beauty of that, the carpet we never paid that any attention. And we built the church, we started the church there, and from there the Lord told us, to just go on, and I just waited on the Lord to do what He wanted us to do. And I'm so excited about it, my humble beginnings, because it was the Lord. I can't put it no other way. Right. It was the Lord that did it.
And don't you love it when you know that you know that you know you've heard from Him?
Oh, it's no doubt. I mean, it's when you know.
That's right.
I think some people call it that agape faith, that crazy faith. You just know it was the Lord that did it. And, I didn't look back. I knew, and then I knew from there that we would prosper. And in due time, in the Lord's time. His time is always the best time. And I knew that we would prosper at the right time. And so, again, just blessed what God has done. It's a longer story than that, but I tell you, I'm trying to give the highlights of it, but it is so endearing what we have been able to do. And I will never forget. I would think any minister would want to start off from ground level. I mean, because everything I got, the Lord directed it, and I'm blessed for that. So
when did you move to this location?
We came here in 2003, and blessed to be here in 2003. What we did, the Lord, I didn't have that much wisdom, so God had to give me wisdom, and He did. He gave us the wisdom how to do. I never built a church before, but the Lord told me in 2001 when we went to the bank, Merchant Marine Bank. I went to the bank, and the Lord told me to go and talk to the president. And I did. I went and talked to the president, which is Ms. Carol Cuevas, and I don't know if she thought I was crazy or what at first, but I told her, I said, you're going to give me money in about 2 years to build a church. And she said, really? I said, yes, ma'am, you're going to give me that money to build a church.
You were speaking in faith.
Speaking on faith, I believed it. But we became great friends, and she was so inspirational into this church being built because, you know, she would make sure that I had everything in order and everything, and we were, you know, making our going each week and making deposits into the bank and everything, and the Lord just started elevating things. We only had one selling. We sold the shipyard, and I didn't feel comfortable with that. And I said, Lord, well, I'll do it, but I don't feel comfortable. And the Lord didn't let us have another selling. We sold nothing else. What we did was tithes and offering, and just faith. And many people donated all over the place. I would get checks from different places, and people who would come through and saw what we were doing, and the Lord just started elevating again. Things started expanding with our finances and all. And Miss Quavers, she just kept me focused on what I needed to do, and I really appreciate her. I think we had a meeting just about every week. You know, we'd stop and we'd talk and just go over things. She would ask me how everything is going. But when we got ready to do it, finally, it was this land here, and it's a guy that lived here at the time, had horses on this land. And he and I went and we talked, and the first time. The second time we went and talked, I know you know the story of Abraham, how he walked his land off. Well, the second time we talked, he said, well, let's walk and talk. And I said, oh my goodness. And as we were walking and talking about he said, well, preacher, what do you exactly want to do? I said, I want to build a church here. He said, oh, okay. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll come down on the price. And I said, great, you know.
Wow.
But I just didn't have enough money then. And he said, I'll come down on the price. I said, well, great. And he told me the price. But I said, well, I don't have that right now. But we went on and kept walking. And as we continued to walk, he said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. He said, I'll give you first bids at this land, but I need to sell it. But I was so sure after we walked off the land.
If he only knew what you knew.
Oh, if he only knew. I was so sure it was mine. And I was confident. I said, yeah, the Lord has given me this land. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it, but the Lord has given it to me. But blessed be the Lord. We went and we went back, and 3 months later, I gave him a phone call. And as we were sitting, we met at the Waffle House right up here off of Dolphin. And we sat there and we talked. He, myself, my wife, and his wife. And he said, we were making final agreements and arrangements and everything, and I told him I'm going to get the loan, and we're going to go ahead and get the land and all that, and we're going to build a church and everything. And as he was sitting there talking, he said, well, yeah, I was going to sell it. And his wife, I'll never forget that. She said, you need to stop that. Look, she said, you've been trying to sell that land for the last 3 months, but you couldn't sell it. Nobody would buy it. She said, I told you that land belonged to the preacher. And it was so funny because that's the same thing the Lord had told me, it belonged to us. And so we were able to get the land. And from there, we started building the church. And again, a highlight, any minister out there, building your church, it's like a kid. You know, I mean, every day I would come here and just watch him build it and just thinking about, you know, how good God is and how he's blessed us. And, you know, I get emotional many times because, you know, I want to do God's will. I want to do what the Lord wants me to do. And I want to stay focused on doing his will and everything, but I needed a church now. We'd got to the point we just couldn't do it in the garage anymore. And blessed be to God, the Lord blessed us, and the church got built, and we marched in 2003. Everything was built that same year, and it was just a blessing. Marching in, the membership at that time was considerably large and everything, but God just blessed us to go through it. And we're just, again, just elated at what God has done. Miss Quavers was a very big part of that, and I appreciate her patience with me, the things that she did, and how patient she was with me, and how she helped me so much. You know, God always put a ram in the bush for you.
Right.
And she was my ram in the bush.
Right. That is an awesome story. And you can see how the sovereign hand of God was moving and putting everything in place, including people. And that is awesome. As you can tell, this is not your typical church. And when we return, Pastor Rogers is going to tell us how they coordinate all the ministries here at the church. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Church Spotlight. We mentioned earlier that you have 3 campuses. Can you tell us their locations?
Yeah, sure. Of course, here in Goshen is the Mother Church. And also we have a campus in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, on 4th Street. I can't think of the address right now, but Hattiesburg, Mississippi on 4th Street, which is, I call that my youth church, because we have so many young people that go there, and it's led by Brother Rick Smith, and he's doing a great job. He's an exciting young man, and he and his wife, along with their children, and his children begot other children, because with that program going, with that church going, we have so many youth and college students.
Right, reaching the college town.
Very, very much so. And also, our other churches in Columbia, Mississippi, right down the road, 98. And that church is led by Pastor Thomas, and they're great men. He's doing also a great job. The Lord sent these two men to me. I ran a revival a couple of years ago out in Columbia, Mississippi, and it was during Christmas holidays. And while I was running a revival for Pastor Thomas and everything, he decided that he wanted to be a part of the ministry. And not long, during that week, Rick Smith and his crew came, and they decided they wanted to be a part of the ministry. And the Lord just started blessing. And the Lord had told me about a couple of months before that I would be expanding churches. Now, you have to understand, I am just satisfied being the pastor of Goshen, the power of deliverance. And that's all. But the Lord said more, and he wanted to elevate us. And so with that, I always, again, obey what the Lord wanted me to do. And so when these churches start coming to me, I said, my goodness, the Lord says this would happen. Mm-hmm. And they are. And not only that, we also have a church. Well, we're looking right now at a church in Bogalusa, Louisiana. It's not a church yet, but I would pretty much call it a mission. We're working on a mission church, but we're working on that also. So, I'm stretched, whatever the Lord wants me to do. He provides the strength. I have the strength. He provides the strength. He won't put no more on me that I can bear. I know that. So it's not a problem for that. But both churches are doing excellent. The same ministry, helping the people in the neighborhoods or in the area. It doesn't matter who they are. We're there to help, and the ministry of the Word of God.
How do you help them?
We help them, again, our food bank. Wow, it is, what more can I say? It's dynamic. I have a pastor here, Derek Doyle. He runs the food bank here, and it spreads all the way to all of our churches in those areas, in Hattiesburg, in Columbia, and all in this area. We are feeding at this time 589 families. Wow. And I am excited about that, because not only do we feed them, we share the ministry with them. We leave little cards in when they pick up the food, and we even take the food to them. It's not just elderly. We're living in tough times now, and there are a lot of people that need help. And if we can't help, the church can't help anybody, then something's wrong with that. Right. And we don't charge. It's free. We wouldn't dare charge. It's free. They get the food. We get it from food bank and the Catholic Diocese in Biloxi, and we're so thankful for how they work with us and everything. And Pastor Doyle, Ella Doyle, rather, he does a great job. He's humble about it, and I can trust him. Don't have to worry about what he's going to do. Many times he comes and says, Pastor, well, this or that. And I said, look, you got it. You know what you're doing. And it feels good to be able to do that. God sent that man to me, and he knows what he's doing. He did it in New Orleans. He came down from the storm. Yeah. And but the Lord blessed him, and so that has been a big impact. The education program with our churches, we're excited about that. And just give you a quick story. First of all, what we do every year in the education program is we make sure that our kids are doing what they're supposed to do in school. Brother Willie is our youth director, and every parent has given him permission. He can go into the schools and find out, check on the kids' grades. And we ask the parents to give him permission, and he goes in and check on the kids' grades and their attitude and things of that nature. And of course, you have some kids that don't want to do as well. Of course, that's kids growing up. Kids are going to be kids. But I'm proud to say we had some issues at first. But I am so proud to say now that last year our grade point average was 94. And I grade for the whole church, and everybody exceeded in their duties. And I was so proud of them. Their attitudes and conduct was so good. And we got this firsthand from teachers and all. And so we're excited about that. And then we have so many college students, as we mentioned in Hattiesburg, but not just in Hattiesburg, even here. We have mothers that at one time that didn't think they'd ever go to college. We have encouraged them through the program that they're now going to college. Three that are going back to be nurses, and I just think that's outstanding. You know, they're back in school, and any way we can help them with a grant or just encourage them. For one thing, we talk with the colleges, especially here at JC and GED program. We're very involved with that. Those individuals that need to get their GED, because let's face it, you got to have education these days. You can't, you got to have it, and it's very difficult for you to succeed in anything without education. And so we're big on education, and we want to make sure that everybody is able to succeed in what they're trying to do.
I think that is a marvelous impact that you're making on the community.
Thank you.
I mean, because not only are you helping the body that's within these four walls, but they're making it, in return, they're making an impact on the community that they're in.
Oh, certainly. It spreads, you know, it illuminates. You know, someone else sees someone else, and it illuminates, and it gets started, and everybody is working toward their goals and doing things. And, you know, this is what church, to me, this is what the church should be all about. We're helpers of one another. Or we should be helpers of one another. And that's what we try to do, make an impact. It's not about me. It is certainly not about me. It's about, again, doing God's will. And we want to help anybody that's, you know, want to be helped. We have also a great counseling program that, and I'm hoping that the Lord will send me more people to help me counsel. But at this time, I'm doing it. And I don't want to brag, but I think that we have probably the best, the best marriage counseling programs it is. It's fun. They go through it and we talk about it, and I always leave with a great feeling about it and everything. It lasts for a month for the couples to come through, and we enjoy that also. But the Lord is just, you know, it's giving us vision on what we want to do. Our future is bright. I feel so good about our future. And of course, if you're going to have a future, you got to have young people.
Sure.
And the Lord has blessed me with a abundance of young people.
They're the vibrancy.
Oh, they're the vibrancy. And you know, the thing about it, they're so innocent. And they can learn. And they're soaking this in. And they're getting, the Bible says, train up a child the way they should go. And when they're old, they shall not depart. That is so true. If you put the right wording, the right teaching in there,
you can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong. And you know, let's face it, you look on TV, you look at the newspaper, and crime is at an all-time high. It's something we can do. And I absolutely sometimes just get fed up with some things. But I said, Lord, what can I do? And so what we're doing is going and trying to help these young people in any way we can. So that's what we do. The future is bright for our young people. We teach them, get in it, and they're excited about it. God's blessing.
And it makes them accountable and lets them know that somebody cares.
Oh, yes. And that's what they need, someone to care, to know that someone cares. And so then we have a youth program, a youth day coming up, September the 25th. It's going to be dynamite. I'm excited about that. That Saturday night on the 24th, we're having a fashion show. And the fashion show, the title of it is Fashion for a Spiritual Action. We're going to talk about the spiritualness of the fashion of the soul, but at the same time, the young people will be able to dress and show young men that you don't have to pull your pants down, you know, to walk around the streets, but you can walk with pride. And show the young ladies that you don't have to dress seductive, but you can still dress like a lady and still be pretty and proper. So we want to show these things, and because, you know, people just need to be taught. You know, sometimes people just not, you know, they see things, what they see, but it's time for the church to show a different way, and that's what we want to do.
That's right. The world shows them, so it's time the church shows.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I feel that it's a charge for me to do it. I'm excited about this. I'm so blessed. I really am. I'm so blessed because I've had hard times. I've been through the, you know, tough times, but the Lord has delivered, and I am so thankful and so grateful. And my prayers that I just, you know, my wife and I just continue to try to do God's will. And we have such a loving churches. The churches are all great. So we're blessed. Thank you.
Well, you were talking about the young people. Let's go a little bit earlier in their age. Do you have a daycare here?
Yes, I do. The daycare is my director is Mary Miskell. And Miss Miskell is doing a fabulous job. Her assistant is Miss Doyle, and I tell you, together they're a great team. And we have our daycares from the ages from 0, I suppose, or whatever, infant age to 5 years old. And It's been here well, I think it's about 3 years old now. And you know, I never missed a beat. We started daycare. I was a little afraid at first because, you know, you're a little reluctant having kids here. But it's something the Lord wants us to do. It's just been smoothly, and we're excited about it. Sure are.
Where did you get your name from?
The church name?
The church name.
The power of deliverance. And when I say the, we also say it's the power of deliverance. Well, the power of the Lord. The power. That's the power of the Lord. You know, there are a lot of different powers out there. So I put emphasis on D. The Lord gave it to me, of course. We had another name at one time, but you know, even when I had the other name, the Lord had told me this name. But I was reluctant to use this name. But at that time, things had happened in life, and the Lord said, this is the name I want you to use. And so, think about it. The power of deliverance. You should be delivered in God's house. You should be delivered when you trust in the power, because it's the power of God that makes the difference. Let's understand that. Without God's power, and so we're so blessed to know that there's a power, and it's not a power of Buddha or whatever. It's the power of Jesus Christ.
And that name says it all, and it makes perfect sense, having heard you talked about all the ministries in the church. Let's take a break right here. We'll be right back. Pastor Rogers, it has been a joy and a delight to meet you. Thank you for having us at your church today. I want to ask you a quick question. Do you think you break tradition?
Absolutely.
I think I knew the answer to that. Give us a rundown of your service times.
Sure. Service times are here in Gautier, 11 o'clock on Tuesdays at 6:30 and Wednesdays at 6:30. In Hattiesburg on Sundays, it's at 5 o'clock, and in Columbia on Sundays, it's at 3 o'clock, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays also, those areas also at 6:30.
Thank you. Once again, if you'd like to see your church featured, give us a call or email through our website, wkfk.com. And until next time, I'm Rena Danley, and thanks for watching Church Spotlight.